Hello everyone. Today I will show you how you can create a mod for Hydroneer before Hydroneer 2.0. So first up, there's three things you're gonna need to download, which is my application, the Hydroneer modding toolchain. So you can go to the my GitHub, go to the releases, and you download the latest version you can find. For now, it's 2.3.1, but there might be a new one. Use that one. Always make sure you're using the newest version. Then you're gonna need the template. The template is what contains the initial project for Unreal, which you can use. There's already some stuff there. Of course, as the game improves, there will be more missing stuff, but you can add them by yourself later and use those as a template to create your own mod. So from here, you're gonna need to then click here and download zip. Or if you have a software, you can use that to download. Next, you're gonna need the mod loader, which is the HydroModTools. Here's the zip. So again, I will leave links in the description. If you are in the roots of the repository, go to Modder Tools, and here it is. You can click here, then download. Also, you're going to need to have the Unreal Engine installed. So let's go into the Epic Games Launcher. And then we go in here. As you can see, there's Unreal Engine. Then go into Library. So here I have already installed, but if you can see it, you can click on plus. Then you can select the correct version. The correct version for now, before Hydroneer 2.0, it's 4.21.2. That's the one you have to select. I will remove this as I don't need. So after you have Unreal installed, you're set to start modding. So after you have downloaded the template, you extract it into a folder, then go inside, and there should be a content folder, which is where it contains the assets. So now you take the zip you downloaded from HydroModTools and you just drag and drop into the content folder. It might not ask to replace because it's the first time you're installing, but if you are upgrading, you just ask drag and drop and replace the HydroModTools. That's how you update your mod loader. So after we have the template and it's loaded already with the mod loader, we just need to go into the roots of the template and double click mining.uproject. It might ask to rebuild the modules. Click yes and it shall build everything. So when we are opening the project, normally the Steam viewer comes up and that's normal. You can just close it. As Hydroneer doesn't have VR, you can just close the module. And here it is. So that's what we see when we start for the first time the project. There should be a white castle and there should be already some content inside. This is the templates items. So for example, I can go, let's say, any item, and what you might notice is for even you have the assets, if you go inside any one of them, there should be literally nothing. And that's because we don't have the raw assets. They are private. The only thing we have are blank assets. So there we can create references too, because we should never ship those items. We only ship the mod assets, and because of that, when the game loads our mod, we will, as we are using the same reference. So for example, as you can see, there's the path. When the game loads our mod, as we are referring this path, we'll use, for example, this item but the retail one, and thus make everything work correctly. So, how do we start to create a mod? If we go to the Rhino repository, in the modders, as you can see, he created a tutorial we can follow. I follow this myself and it's pretty good, it's easy to understand. So for example, we first have to create the hook. So what we do, we go into HydroModTools, hooks, and as you can see, there's the BP hook template. Ignore those are because I already have some mods. So we right click this and we click duplicate, and now we type the name of our mod. So for this will be BP underscore tutorial mod, and we can go inside. As you can see, it has already some nodes placed in. Those ones we shall never unlink them, because that's what Rhino uses to make everything work inside our hook. So normally what I do, I go here, right click on a blank space, type comment, and I just give it a name, and I place this inside. Cool. We can do, however, whatever we want from here. There's no problem with that, and we will do it eventually. Those are the life cycle of the game. This one is for the tick. You can use this, but I will not need, so I will just delete it. So this, as I've said before, it is the life cycle. This one is evoked when we go inside a safe. So when we start, when we click load save. And this one is before the saving starts, and this one is after the save. So what we can do, for example, here is load settings or whatever we want from our mod to start work. When we actually start playing, we can use the pre-save to prepare something to be saved, and after save to save our stuff. If there's nothing to prepare, we can directly do the saving in the pre-save. There's no problem with that. I will leave those here just in case I might need it, and create another comment. Everyone should create an habit of organizing the code, because eventually the mod might get bigger, and if there's something not organized, we look at it and don't understand what the hell it does, because it gets messy fast. So we have the hook prepared. Now let's go back to the root, and you should create a new folder and call it mod. As you can see, it doesn't exist, you have to create it, and that's because you can organize your stuff however you want, but it's just easier to have a mod folder, and then inside the mod folder you have your individual mods. content. For example, so to the purpose of this video, I'll create a new folder and call it tutorial mod. And then I will create all the assets inside this folder. So to exemplify how to create a mod, I will create a simple hello world label on the screen. So how do we do that? I'm gonna create a new folder called UI, and here I will go into user interface and select a widget blueprint, and here we type UI underscore my new interface. We then double click and I'm gonna just expand here everything so I can do it better. And then you can create our UI. Normally what I also do is, for example, as this is a full screen UI, so it should be by default on fill screen and screen size, but then you have to drag these arrows to resolution. I normally do 1080. So we have to take note, as the game has multiple resolutions, we have to make the UI always scalable. Meaning that, for example, if I have an image here, I will place it in this one because it's the worst one. The worst one as in it's always this corner that gets moved up, meaning if the screen is smaller, this thing might be like this outside. And why is that? Because we have to anchor everything. So what I mean with that is, for example, if I want this to always be in this corner, even though I'm moving the resolution however I want, we have to go into details and go into anchors, and then I say that this should be linked always to this corner, and from there it should be these offsets of that corner. So now, even if the resolution is really small, this image will always be in the correct place. So let's start with the UI. So what I'm going to do is add some text. Make it big. So there's fonts we can use. I'm gonna use this one. This font is already in the game. It should be already as well in the template. One downside is that you can't see the font in here in the editor because it doesn't actually exist. It's just a reference. For example, if I go to another one, the HydroModTools work nice, and those others. But those two are just the default aerials. There should be nothing here. But that's no problem because in game the font will actually exist, and because of that it should be appear correctly. So let's increase the size of this. So I'm going to increase to 40. Hello world. And compile. So we want this UI to show up in the game. So how it is done. We go into the hook. So let's start with now adding the interface into the game. And so first step we're going to need is two variables. So I'm gonna call it is, because it will be boolean, is my new interface visible, and it's going to be of type boolean. And I'm also going to need my new interface UI, and this one's going to be of type my new interface. So what's going to happen is, let's search for keyboard, then we pick a key to use as the toggle for your interface. I'm going to use Z. So when we press, we have first to check if the interface exists. So it's valid. This one, it should have the interrogation, because with this I can now I have two paths. So if it is valid, we toggle the interface. If it's not valid, we create an interface, then toggle it. So it is, if it's not valid, then we search for create widget. Then we get the player controller. Oh, not this one, sorry. Player controller. Where is it? How it is? And we'll link those pins. The index should be 0, as this is the local player. And the class, it's going to be my new interface. So after we created the interface, we drag the variable and select set. We link those two. And after that, we search for add to viewport. If this function doesn't show up, that's because you have this ticked and you might need to untick. So if I tick, it disappears. If I untick, it shows up. So we drag this one and link it. And if it is valid, we're going to need to toggle. So drag this one, select set, take the output, search for not, and we need the not boolean, and link then to the start. What it's going to need is, it's going to ask for a variable to it's going to ask for a value to save inside the variable. So it will then negate whatever value it is, and then it's going to take the value from itself. Take note that this pin here will always have the altered state. For example, when the cycle comes into this node, it will take the initial state, which is going to be false, change it to true, and then save it. If we press the key again, it's going to take the true, negate, so it's going to be false, and then save it. And now what you can do is drag this up here and link those. We can also link those. After it is set, we now can toggle the interface. So you get the interface, select get, then search for set visibility. We paste this under and we link the white pins. Now here we drag the green and search for select. Place it under. Change this to boolean, and the boolean is going to be the boolean value variable we have, and we save it here. So if it's true, we change it to visible. If it's false, to collapsed. So after we have added everything to create the interface, there's something we need to change on the hook. So select here the top node, and then in the input section we need to enable the auto receive input. So we change from disabled into player 0. And now we can compile. And that's pretty much all you need to make the interface show up in the game. So there's one thing I use to keep in mind how everything works. So for example, you read from left to right when following the white lines, and then you read from right to left when you are following every other color. For example, let's follow the white line. So when I press Z, I'm going to check if an object is valid, and this object will be the interface. If it is valid, I'm going to set my boolean variable, and the value will be the negation of itself. And then I'm going to set the visibility. The target is going to be my interface, and the visibility will be the selection based off the boolean variable. If it's true, it's going to be visible. If it's false, it's going to be collapsed. If it's not valid, then I'm going to create a new widget. This widget will be the interface, and the owning player will be the return value of the player controller. After we create the widget, I'm going to save it into the UI variable. The value will be the widget we just created. After we save the interface, we then add to the viewport. What we want to add the viewport is the interface we saved in the variable. We can use this as a shortcut to get to the value of the variable. We could also use the get and link those. That will we need to break this link. That will work perfectly. But this pin here is just a shorthand to get there. So you can link those directly, fine, no problem. The same here, that's why it works. This is just a get pin, a useful get pin of the variable. So after we add to the viewport, we then repeat the process as the is valid. So white lines read from left to right. Every other color you read from right to left. And now we can compile this and save. So after that, there's something I need to change in the interface. I had forgotten. So we select the root node here, and then change the visibility to collapse. That's because I want the initial state of the interface to be hidden. So we have the interface ready. We got our bind also ready. And so what we have to do now is prepare everything to add into the game. So let's minimize this. And there's two settings we can change. So we go into edit, project settings. and then go into cooker and enable those two options here, the interactive cooking. So interactive cooking is cooking only what you change. So if you want to change one asset, it will only cook that one asset. It won't cook every asset because that takes a really long time. So I will now cook content for Windows. To show the output log, and now we wait a bit. As you can see here, it is already cooking. And if you see somewhere it says invalidating cook, it means that something has gone wrong when trying to do iterative cooking, and then it will start cooking everything over. So as you can see, there are 4200 at least assets, and this normally takes a long time to cook. As you can see, it's only now it went to the thousands. So I will be back when it is everything cooked. So now, as you can see, the cook test ended, and we can see it is a success with 0 errors. It's normal to always show some warnings. That's not a problem. So after the cook is done, so we open the Hydroneer modding tool. And we go into the create mod section. And now we add a new project. The project name should be the same as the hook. So in this case it is tutorial mod. Now we go into the cook assets. So if we go now to the project root, we go into saved, cooked, Windows no editor, and we select mining and select folder. And now on the output path, we can select wherever we want. It will then create two folders, a staging folder and a dist folder. The staging folder will contain the assets that will be then packed into the game, and the dist folder will be the mod you actually share. So I will place it in the HydroModTools and pack mods, and then click on done. As you can see, the mod is here, and we need to select the assets. So right click, add assets. So here I only want to add 2 files, so I click yes. So I go into the content, HydroMH, hooks, and we select the 2 files for the hook. There should always be a U asset and a twin called USP. We select then open, and now again add assets. Now as I want to select a folder, I click on no. So go into the mining content, go into the mod folder. Now I select the tutorial mod and click select folder. It will add every asset inside. And now we need to do all of those steps. So stage, package, copy mod, and then launch the game. We can also click on Dev Express. It will do all of those stages in just one click. So I will, before that, I will just clear every mod so I can test only for newly created mods. So I'll download the HydroModTools because it is the modular, it is required by every mod. And now I can Dev Express. You can ignore this. This is some side project I'm working on into Hydroneer. And now, as we are now inside the game, we press F6 and we check that our mod is actually loaded. So now we go into the save. And whoops. Let's go out. Oops. There we go. Let's go outside. And now we can simply press Z. There we go. As you can see, the font is actually working. So this is how you start to create a mod into Hydroneer. Thank you for watching.